The Night Watchman. It was a quiet autumn evening in 1993 when Charles, a retired police officer, began his night shift as a security guard at an old, abandoned hospital on the outskirts of town. The hospital had closed years ago due to budget cuts, but rumors swirled about strange happenings inside. Charles, a no-nonsense man who didn't believe in ghost stories, dismissed the warnings as small-town gossip. He was there to keep trespassers out, nothing more. The building was massive, with peeling paint, broken windows, and hallways that seemed to stretch endlessly into darkness. His job was simple: walk the grounds, check the perimeter, and make sure no one was inside. Armed with a flashlight and a radio, Charles began his rounds. 11:30 p.m. Charles was halfway through his shift when he heard it for the first time. A faint sound, like someone dragging something heavy across the floor. It echoed from the second floor, where the old psychiatric ward was located. Probably just a raccoon, he muttered to himself. Animals had been known to sneak into the building. Still, he decided to check it out. Climbing the creaky stairs, he noticed how cold it had become. His breath was now visible in the beam of his flashlight. When he reached the second floor, the sound stopped. The hallway was eerily silent. He swept the area with his flashlight, revealing old wheelchairs and gurneys left to rust. Satisfied it was nothing, he turned to leave until he noticed something strange. One of the wheelchairs, positioned at the far end of the hallway, was now facing him. He swore it had been turned the other way when he first walked in. Must be my imagination, he thought, but his unease grew. 12:15 dram. Back in the lobby, Charles tried to shake off the encounter when his radio crackled to life. "Hello? Who's there?" Static. Then a faint voice whispered, "Help me." His stomach dropped. The radios were only supposed to connect to his supervisor, who was stationed miles away. Charles grabbed his flashlight and decided to investigate once more. This time, the sound led him to the basement, a place he had avoided all night. The basement was worse than the rest of the hospital. Claustrophobic, damp, and filled with the smell of mildew. As he descended, the temperature plummeted further, and he began to hear faint whispers. They were too quiet to make out, but they were unmistakably voices. 12:30 a.m. At the bottom of the stairs, he saw it. A set of heavy double doors slightly ajar. Behind them was the old morgue. The whispers grew louder as he approached. Against every instinct telling him to leave, he pushed the doors open. The room was freezing. Old metal drawers for storing bodies lined the walls. Charles scanned the room with his flashlight when he noticed one of the drawers was slightly open. A chill ran down his spine. He approached cautiously, heart pounding. As he reached for the handle, his radio crackled again. "Don't!" the same faint voice warned. He froze, staring at the drawer. Then, without warning, the handle began to rattle violently. The sound echoed in the small room. Charles stumbled back, his flashlight flickering. Suddenly, the drawer slid open on its own. Inside was nothing but an empty, decayed sheet. Before he could process what was happening, the door behind him slammed shut. The whispers turned to screams, dozens of them, overlapping, deafening. Charles dropped his flashlight in panic, plunging the room into darkness. He fumbled for the door, yanking it open and running up the stairs as fast as he could. The screams seemed to follow him, growing louder until he burst into the lobby. 1 a.m. Charles didn't finish his shift. He left his post and never returned to the hospital. When asked about it later, he refused to explain, only saying, "I saw something I can't unsee." The hospital was demolished a few years later. During the demolition, workers discovered a sealed room in the basement. Inside were rusted restraints, chains, and disturbing records of unethical experiments conducted on patients in the 1960s. The stories of the hospital being haunted suddenly didn't seem so far-fetched. To this day, locals claim to hear whispers and screams when passing the site at night. Charles, however, never spoke of that night again.